Oh my God, black women. Y'all really better stop listening to these women online, because they do not ever know what they're talking about, and they are going to set you up to get arrested. All right, here's where I'm going with this. I was starting to watch a live of Tanya TKO's, but I stopped because she is just full of misinformation, right? She's talking about Da'Naia Jackson and them again, right? And she's talking about when Da'Naia Jackson took her kids and left the home, left her house with her husband and moved across state lines with her children. And she's trying to tell people that she wasn't legally allowed to do that. And then some other woman called in, some caller, talking about that's kidnapping because you're not even allowed to get a passport for your child without the other person's consent. All of that is misinformation, okay? When you don't know what the hell you're talking about and you don't know what's going on, do yourself a favor and call the court, family court in the state you live in, call the court clerk and ask them, can you please explain custody to me? Let me tell you straight away, right? Because I went through this twice with 2 different marriages. When you are married, both parents have parental rights, full parental rights over the children. Meaning, if I'm getting ready to divorce my husband and I decide to pack my kids up and myself and leave, I can do that. I don't need no judge to tell me, Stephanie, you can't do that. My husband can say, I don't want you to go. But if I push past him with my kids, or I leave when he's at work or he goes to the store, I am well within my rights to do that. He, however, he could come wherever we are, pack the kids up, take them back to our house, or say, if I left the kids at someone's home and someone's house and I wasn't there and he came to pick them up, he has the right to do the same thing. Here's where it gets difficult. The only time you have to follow all those rules about when you can move and need the permission of the other parent and all the rest of that stuff is when either a visitation order is established or a custody order. And there are like 5 different types of custody orders, right? So the information she's telling y'all will literally land y'all in a lot of trouble. And some of you may go to jail. Because if you have a custody order, that is the only time all those rules apply. The way that it works is that if you're married and you come home one day and your wife and kids are gone, and you're like, oh my God, where's my family? I want my kids back. What you're supposed to do, married or not, having full custody over your children due to marriage is all you have. In order to get the judge to interfere in your life and make rules for you and your wife to follow, or you and your husband to follow, you have to go to court, married or not, have a child in common or not, and you have to seek custody. One of the 5 ways of custody, and then, and only then, after and it's a long process. It's not overnight, right? Only after you do that, and there's an agreement met, because people can object, they could disagree, they could fight the custody, they could do a lot of shit, right? So it takes usually a long time to get custody. And only when custody is actually established by the judge does all that shit she's talking about, where if you have a custody order, I'm going to tell you, like, from my personal experience. You have a custody order and it's 50-50, right? Meaning 50-50 straight down the middle. Y'all get you share the children in each other's homes. You split the week. You split the decisions about healthcare. You split the decisions about school, about money matters. Everything that concerns the kids, you split the decisions 50-50, meaning y'all have to communicate, right? All right. If the mom or the father one day goes, fuck that custody order, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. The first time they break or they violate any of that custody order, that's the only time all that type of shit that she's talking about applies. Now, to get to the part about the passports, right? If now you don't ever have to have a custody order You don't ever have to have a visitation order, but there is international law because of child abduction. Not because of silly shit that she's saying that is totally wrong, right? Where, if because you don't have custody or you do have custody, that's the reason why you can't get a passport for your child. Incorrect. Because of child abductions from America to other countries where there is no extradition and shit like that, there was a law after so many cases of American children being taken by their fathers back to their father's home countries, and America having no jurisdiction. A law was created in America to where, in order for you to get a passport for your child, mother or father, up to the child is 16 years old. After 16, you could get a passport, no problem. But from 0 to 16, you need both parents to sign an affidavit verifying consent to get the passport. So all that nonsense about, oh, that's kidnapping if you take your child and you married and she just packs her bags and leaves the house. No, that's not kidnapping. Kidnapping is this. You can be accused of kidnapping your own child when you have either a visitation order or any type of custody order that you violate. If you violate that custody order or that visitation order and that child, the other parent has no whereabouts of that child, any length of time that goes outside of the parameters of that visitation or that custody order, you are kidnapping. And if you take that child across state lines as a violation of an already existing, before you take them across state lines, custody order or a visitation order, you're going to be in big trouble, right? So she doesn't know what she's talking about, and this is once again, like, I don't know why these people come on here and just talk whatever comes out their mouth. And she even read the law from Google and misinterpreted the shit. It says court intervention, right? Or court involvement. That literally means you have to have an existing court order in order for all the information that follows that to be valid. Now, you could start the process, right, of trying to get a visitation order or a custody order and move any fucking where you want, because you're still in the process. There has not been an actual visitation order completed. Now, will the judge feel like, why did you do that? Because you knew we were in the process of trying to get this agreement going. They will feel some type of way about it, but they can't stop you from doing it. Once an order is established, whether it's visitation or custody, any of the 5 types of custody, and you violate them, you are kidnapping and you are violating that order, and you are either subject to arrest or subject to a modification of your order by the judge, or the judge can take custody away from you for a certain length of time just to punish you, to make you comply. The other shit she said about New York State is wrong too. About if you want to move to another state and you got to put an ad in the paper to say that the other parent is giving up their parental rights. That is a lie too. The only way a parent can lose their parental rights, even if they're in jail, even if they're a deadbeat father, even if they're an absent father and they never seen the child, the only way they could lose their parental rights is if a judge goes through the process of termination of parental rights, and that shit is like 2 years long. That's a 2-year-long process or more. Once a judge does that and they terminate the parental rights of a parent, that's the only way that can happen. Oh my God. That's why I'm telling y'all, please, okay? Please stop listening to these kooks on YouTube. I worked in law enforcement, so I definitely know what I'm talking about. And I have read and own personally the Family Court Act. If you could probably buy it on Google, right? If you want to know all of these things specifically, correctly, the procedure of the court, how this goes, you go on Amazon, you type in like whatever, I'm gonna use my state, whatever state you live in, New York State Family Court Act, right? Or you type in Tennessee Family Court Act, the book will come up. It is the full procedures of the court, step by step, all the laws of the court, step by step, to tell you what happens in family court when whatever process you're going through, right? Then, like in New York State, we use the criminal procedure law, right? In your state, you get your criminal procedure law too, and you use that book hand in hand with the Family Court Act. If you have a case because you married and you might be in surrogate's court, you get the book for surrogate's court. So you know, so far we up to 3 books, right? So you know all the things that go for each court and in the correct process, because that's how it goes. What is the other one that's family court runs congruent with family court and criminal court. So if you have the CPR, right? Criminal procedure law, you have the Family Court Act, and then you have the Surrogate Court Act, you should be good. The only other court that you're missing is civil court. And you can sue your husband and wife civilly. I'm sorry. My asthma has really been acting up. But you can sue people civilly too. So if you want to get the civil court book, you could do that too. Civil court, family court, criminal court, and surrogate's court. If you have all 4 of those books, you will know all the rules for your state perfectly. You will never have to be fooled, tricked, or not be sure of anything like these fools are on this live. And this is the type of shit where people listen to these people on YouTube and actually think they know what they're talking about when they don't. And you will end up in so much trouble. It's crazy. And when you fuck with children, you know that's a federal crime, right? So that means you won't be going to state penitentiary. You're going to be going to federal prison. So do not listen to her, because she does not know what she's talking about. She literally read the shit from Google and still got the interpretation wrong. And then when the caller was trying to tell her, I don't think that's how it goes, she did what she usually does. Tries to insult the person's intelligence, cut them down, and kick them off the line. When the woman on the phone, when she was telling her, no, you have to have a custody order first for that to be true, she's arguing with her. No, because they're married, they both have equal custody. Yes, they do, but not by a judge. They just have equal custody under the understanding of being married. But when a judge literally writes out a fucking decree, an order for either visitation or custody, that's the fucking law you follow. And that is what Google was telling her, but she wanted to make it be her version of the law. So I feel sorry for any of those women that listened to her and that other nut job that was talking about you could kidnap your own child if you and your husband, who do not have an existing custody order or visitation order, decide to get up, pack your clothes, pack your children's clothes, and leave the state without the other parent. You're going to get arrested for kidnapping. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not. Because at any time, that other parent could go, what the fuck are you doing? I'm coming to get my damn kids. They can show up and they can take their kids. Nothing is going to stop them. And even if you call the police don't have no jurisdiction in that. The only time the police have jurisdiction is if someone is getting hurt or they can get hurt. And then you got to have a little bit of history to prove it to the cops. Otherwise, the cops are going to refer you to court. So, she don't know what she's talking about. She's never been a cop. I doubt she's ever did anything with real law. She might know people in certain jobs, but she's never done it. And that information she's giving out tonight, completely wrong. Follow her, and you will have legal problems. Follow her, and you might lose your freedom. So, y'all better, please. I'm really begging you guys. Stop listening to these women online. They clearly are charlatans. They're just on here because they need to be, because they don't have real jobs. And they are really giving people misinformation and will really fuck up your life. Don't listen to that shit she's talking tonight in this ridiculous ass video. Tanya TKO is a male identified mammy. Call in to confront me. I believe she is a mammy. Not only is she a mammy, but I believe she's a woman hater too. A black woman hater, because a lot of her videos are misinformation that will really cause black women real detrimental problems and will jeopardize your freedom in a lot of situations, because she's never wrong, and that's really scary. Anyway, remember, if you want to know, listen, this is my shit. When you want to know the information, go to the fucking source. You have courts in every state. You have court clerks. You have information desks. If you want to know shit the right way, go to the source. Go to the people that work in the field, who push the paperwork every day, who deal with those situations. Buy the books that explain to you the procedure, explain the law, so that you know exactly what the fuck you're talking about, even if you don't quite understand it or are able to interpret it the right way. Hold on 1 second. What the fuck is that noise? Okay, so please do that, all right? Because this live she's doing tonight, oh my God, there's going to be several people going to jail if they listen to her. When you're married and you do not have a custody order or a visitation order, you and your husband or you and your wife could take your kids and move any fucking where they want. The only way you're going to have to be told, bring those kids back and do this or do that with those kids, is once the other parent goes to court, files for a petition of custody or a petition of visitation, whichever one, and they actually are granted that. When they're granted that, you must meet the terms and conditions of that order that the judge gives. And that's it. Bottom fucking line. So all that stuff she was talking tonight is nonsense. And there are so many books on Amazon that you could just get to find out how family court works and just learn the general specifics of it, so that you could be best guided. But until, basically in a nutshell, you could do whatever you want with your kids, move anywhere you want, whether the other parent agrees with it or not, as long as you don't have a court order. The first fucking time you get a court order, you can no longer do that shit on your own. You have to get the judge's permission. End of story. And as far as the kidnapping goes, because of a passport, no such a fucking thing. It's because of international abductions. There is an international law, okay, for America that says until your child is over the age of 16, they need the consent of both parents. And that's all to it. It has not a fucking thing to do with custody. Has not a fucking thing to do with visitation. That's a totally separate animal. And even when you get the application in America for your passport, it literally fucking tells you that on the application. And just for y'all to know, if you don't have the paper application, always go on to the travel.gov website. What is that shit? I have put it up on my community page. Y'all know I always forget that damn travel. I think it's state.travel.gov or vice versa, but go on my community page, flip through all that information. You'll find the actual passport link on my community page, because I put it there for people that was interested in getting their passports. That's the same website you would go on to find out the requirements to visit any country, find out the political climate, whether or not it's a safe place for you to go to, because the American government is going to let you know U.S. citizens are advised not to travel here. They're advised to travel, but proceed with caution. It's going to tell you all that shit. When you go on my community page, scroll through, you'll find it. But please stay away from that information, because it is very bad information. Very bad, and it may cost you your freedom. Good night.